I've never answered the question, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
As anything other than actor. Apart from maybe when I wanted to be Britney Spears. Which is, you know, a perfectly reasonable thing for a young boy to want to be. But, you know, I realised that I could be Britney Spears in a play about Britney Spears named Hit Me Baby One More Time. No, I'm really...
Welcome back to the Young Performers Podcast, So What Next? Thank you everyone who's been tuning in so far. All your feedback has been wonderful. But without further ado, we are going to be moving on to our next interviewee, a wonderful performer who I've known for many years. So Josh, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're just going to start right from the beginning.
Wonderful.
We're going to ask you a wonderfully vague question. How did you first get involved with acting?
Right.
Yeah. All the way back there.
Yeah. Okay. No. Well. No. Yes. No. Yes. So I don't think there was ever a particular point where I went, okay, here's my kind of logical decision, pros and cons list. GCSEs plus A levels equals I'm going to be an actor. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not really logical, I don't think.
So you like performing in shows for your entire life?
It wasn't necessarily just performing in shows as well. I mean, the first kind of formal, I am doing a play, therefore, you know, it's acting kind of thing would have been in year 6. We did, I think it was a Roald Dahl version of Christmas Carol.
Okay.
And I played Scrooge, which was fantastic. This kind of little blonde Scrooge, which is really kind of against casting, I guess. My first try of against casting. But I mean, that was the first formal time I did it, but I would have thought really kind of even before that, when you're just kind of playing as a child, all I really wanted to play most of the time was like dress up and make believe.
Yeah.
I didn't really play. My brother was really into like Lego and all that kind of stuff, and mine was always more, I want to do things and pretend I'm doing things. And I think from that age onwards, that was just kind of like the setup, if that makes sense. And then after doing the play, playing Scrooge at a ripe age of 11, that was when I was like, yeah, okay. And then you realise, oh, you can actually do that as a living at some point. I mean, I wasn't really thinking about my future career at that point. It was just fun. Yeah. But
so what was the point when you suddenly realised it was no longer a fun kind of hobby in the background and it became a career possibility?
That would have been, in secondary school, like as you start to go, you know, as people start to put that bit of pressure on you when you start to pick your GCSEs, you start to pick what exams you're going to take, and people are like, okay, you need to start thinking about the plan. And I already knew, like, by that point I already knew I wanted to be an actor, but it was very much, that was when it kind of, I slapped the label on it, if you like, and said, okay, that's what I want to do as a profession rather than as what I already do for fun. So yeah, secondary school was when I kind of went, okay, this is what I want to do, and then as you know, you start looking into how that works, and you get everyone telling you that it's a ridiculous idea, don't do that, and you go, I'm going to do it anyway. So thanks for that, great input, guys.
So was there was there like a specific kind of moment that you were performing when you were younger, when you were on stage, let's say, that really where it clicked for you, like yes, this has to be it, or was it always just? There was never a point where you... There
was never a point, it always had to be that.
So where like you do musical theatre, when you were training and all that stuff, was there a specific point where you wanted to do MT, or was it always just one big thing for you, like acting, musicals?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, when I actually look at kind of where all of those things, the different kind of, I guess you call them disciplines, like the singing, acting, dancing. When I was really young, I was really, really into dance. I probably would have said that I danced more than anything. And that's, I'm talking primary school then, like I went to after school dance classes and all that kind of thing. And I kind of stopped in secondary school, right as, from going from year 6 to year 7, right at the beginning of secondary school, I stopped dancing so much and I started singing lessons in about year 8. And I always liked singing, I always liked dancing, and I think the acting was always the kind of common denominator, if you like that was just always there, and then the other two were kind of things that I invested in because they were fun. And up until the point, and all throughout secondary school, I had, I was in plays and stuff, and I sung with the choir. I sung with a big band, which was really, really fun. I really missed doing that, actually. And I had singing lessons throughout the whole thing. And I took kind of musical theatre lessons after school, where we'd kind of, almost like, for anyone who has drama school experience, but think of it as like an acting through song lesson. That was, we had after school versions of that. And I was really, really, really into musical theatre beforehand, and like very much kind of West End commercial musical theatre. That was what I thought I wanted to do. And it was through auditioning, very interestingly, that I realised that it wasn't for me so much, because when I was auditioning for drama school, I did a variation of like, I auditioned for musical theatre courses and acting courses. And there are kind of, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful art form, which I still love very much. But I found that for me, there was just what I wanted out of my own training, out of my own self. My priority was storytelling, and it wasn't about singing, it wasn't about dancing, and it came back to that kind of common denominator that's always been there for me, which is just about the storytelling. And so as I was auditioning, when I was auditioning for more acting-based courses, I just felt I felt like I was getting more out of it, and I felt a lot happier about what I was doing. And I think that's what it does kind of come down to, is just whatever makes you happy, because you don't... If I wanted to hate my job, I'd be an accountant.
So which drama schools did you audition for?
So I auditioned for... So musical theatre, I auditioned for Mount View, Arts Ed, and Mount View, Arts Ed, Trinity, GSA. Those are the musical theatre ones. And then I auditioned for acting, I auditioned for Central, Guildhall, and LIPA. I didn't go for Lambda or RADA, which is an interesting choice.
Can you pinpoint why?
Huh?
Do you know why?
I think because I was so... When I was applying for auditioning, I was so hell-bent on being in musical theatre that they didn't really occur to me. And then it was when... Because I think Guildhall was my first ever audition. And I loved it. And it was really, really good. And I remember... And I kind of got through a few stages, and towards the end they kind of turned to me and said, look, we think you're better suited to somewhere that's got more singing in it, because you've got a good voice, so you might as well use it. But thank you for coming. I got through quite a few rounds, which was really nice. And because I ended up getting into a musical theatre course, an acting course, and then Central, which kind of gave this acting musical theatre hybrid thing. And I was like, okay, well that's where lends itself best to me. That's where I'm gonna fit in best, because I don't want to not do any singing. I love it, but I also don't want it to be a priority for me. It's I don't want to be trained as a singer. I want to be trained as an actor. So. Yeah, it was kind of through that I was, through auditioning, that I realised that I didn't want to do musical theatre, I still very much do, but I want to do it as a part of being an actor.
Can you pinpoint the exact moment, the exact experience in the Guildhall audition that made you realise that maybe MT wasn't quite the career you were going to see yourself pursuing?
I think it was when they told me, when I got turned away, when they said you're not going to go here because you're a good singer. Yeah. Well, not, obviously it was for other things as well. There were other thousands of incredibly talented auditionees who got the place. It wasn't just because, that sounds really bad. I'm sorry, please cut that. But then when they said, we think you'd be suited somewhere else, I was just devastated. Yeah. And I thought, I don't want to go somewhere else, I want to go here. And because I hadn't auditioned for that many straight acting courses, I felt like I'd really missed my shot there. And I was kind of preparing to do another year of auditions. So yeah, I think that it was you always learn through rejection. You don't learn by being told you're great. You learn by being told you've got something else to give. Yeah. So that would have been the moment for me when I realised that it was I wanted to do as a career. I wanted to be an actor and not a singer or a dancer or anything like that. When I was turned away and I went and cried.
So you got into, so you said earlier you got into one MT course, one acting course, and Central, which is a hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
Did you feel that there was any kind of correlation between the drama schools you got into and why they were, for lack of a better term, successful and you got a place there, and what it was maybe that went not so well at the other drama schools. Is there any personal thing that you can say went through those 3 auditions, can possibly explain why you think you're more successful there?
That's quite a difficult question, actually, because it was a very, without... I have this really big kind of theory that when it comes to getting into drama school, at least, it's half to do with being talented. Yes, obviously you have to be talented, and they're looking for talent. That's the whole point of going there. But the other half is just being at the right place at the right time. I know so many people who have auditioned years after years after years, and they've got through every round, and they got to the final recall, and they've been this close to getting in. They've made the waiting list, and it's never happened. They've never got in. And I think that is a perfect example that there is just so much talent in the world. There's so many talented people. You just have to hope there's not another you out there that year. Or, you're working with the other people they've already given a place. When did you audition? How many places are left? If they've only, if your audition is slightly later in the year, have they been really kind of generous giving out places, and then too many people have accepted already, and therefore they don't have any places to give anymore? So I think for whatever reason, I was in the right place at the right time the year I auditioned, which is so lucky. And it's not really to do with being, as I said, once you get through maybe the first round of auditions, they've got all the people they think are talented, and that's still thousands. That's still thousands of people. And then you just have to be whatever works with the formula, the other people that they've given, and hope that, there's not any other tall, blonde, skinny, androgynous people that year. And apparently there wasn't the year I auditioned, which is great. And it was a really wonderfully, and I just think about how lucky I was. It was such a humblingly successful year, because I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but there was only one school that didn't recall me, at least. And again, I do think I was at the right place at the right time. That's not me thinking how fucking great I am. It's just I was the right place at the right time. And I think the whole kind of the thing that makes you successful was, okay, they'd filtered out the people that they've got that they think are talented, and then those schools, the ones that gave me an offer, were the ones who went, yeah, we don't have you yet. And that's great. Because I don't think it was to do with my audition, really. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no technique. My classical speeches were an absolute abomination. They really, really were. Because I did my auditions, my kind of go-to classical speech was "'Tis Torture, Not Mercy" from Romeo and Juliet. Like, one of the most overdone speeches, although I also think that you can't overdo Shakespeare because there's only so many. We have a set amount, so you might as well just do the one you like. They're all overdone. Because he's been around a while. But, do you know what I mean? But I didn't understand scansion. I said banished the entire thing, and anyone who's like kind of any classical people at home listening will know that it should be, a lot of the time it should be banished, and that doesn't scan, and I didn't get the iambic pentameter, and that was, but it was the right place, the right time. I don't think it was the performance I gave necessarily. They thought I was good, which is nice, that's great. But I was the right place at the right time. I think that's ultimately what it came down to. They didn't have someone else like me at that year.
So there's a bit of a stigma I found when I was auditioning for drama school, that they never take young people. And they you need to be older. You need to be in your at least your 20s before you can get to drama school. And I think anyone who then goes through drama school knows that that's a bit of a fabrication. It's not true at all. What you think that experience is, what people actually mean in terms of like the maturity, and then you need more life experience is what they say.
There's the most intangible thing anyone can say. What is life experience? What is it? What is it? Although, to be fair, having said that, from graduating, I have told people since, I've been like, I've just got so much more life experience. And you start using it. It's so bad, it's contagious. It's disgusting, it's so bad. But it's a thing, but it's just really, really intangible. You can't really describe what it means. Having said that, I was straight out of secondary school. I was 18 when I started. Lots of people in my year was, don't know. And lots of people in the year below me were straight out of secondary school. equally, lots of people in my year weren't. Lots of my,
Yeah.
you know, we had people who started when they were 24, 25. There was someone in the year above who was 30. So I don't think there's any hard and fast rules. I think that what they say to one person, where this kind of, they don't take people that young, comes from, that might have been a young person who was particularly young for their age, who was told, we want you to get more life experience. Which is just so, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And for anyone who has been told that or is going to be taking gap years or anything like that, do stuff that's not related to acting is the only thing I can say. Keep going on it, but if you've just devoted every moment of your time, what they mean is like you need to live your life so that when you're acting you have something to draw upon. Go be a beekeeper. That's what they told me at Guildhall. They told me to beekeep for a year. That's not a lie. That is not a lie.
Why?
They said, you know, if you don't get in this year, what would you do? And I was like, well, you know, I'd work to save up some money. I would start working on my audition pieces again, and I would go back around and do it again. They were like, yeah, but what else? What else are you going to do? It's all well and good to say you're going to audition, you're going to work on your pieces. You can't do that for 12 hours a day. Yeah. What else are you going to do? And then they're like, have you considered beekeeping? And I was like, no, I've not
I'm just
considered
picturing
beekeeping.
like a really like serious, intense panel all kind of leaning forward and
she
nodding.
meant it.
Yeah, beekeeping.
Yeah, she meant it. It was two people, and I was sat probably more than like, I don't know, a foot away from them, and I can see it so clearly because I just couldn't believe she said it. She had her hand, one across the table, and one, she was resting on the palm of the other hand. Yeah. And she was just like, yeah. And what about doing something like, I don't know, beekeeping? And she kind of smudged her face as she was doing it. And I was like, right, beekeeping. I'll look into it, thank you. And that was it. That's what they mean about the life experience thing, I think, is just do something that's not to do with acting.
Yeah, so beekeep, guys.
Beekeep.
If you could take
that's
anything.
my biggest advice to you, is if you feel like it's not going your way, beekeep. Keep bees, and you will be fine.
And you will succeed.
And have delicious, delicious honey. Sorry. No.
So yeah, we'll skip drama school for now, just because there's so much to talk about.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry?
Don't know what you're talking about. It's nothing.
There's nothing
It's
to
alright.
talk about. 3 years of crying. Self-loathing. No. What we will instead, I want to ask you a bit more about third year and kind of the industry side of things.
Yeah.
So kind of like,
Yes.
how did you find kind of the experience of trying to get an agent?
Fucking horrible.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing because you feel so desperate, and there's nothing less attractive in what is essentially a professional relationship that you're trying to build, and a transactional relationship. You know, they genuinely have to believe that you're gonna make them money. Yeah. And when you're on your knees sweating and saying, "Take me, please, take me," you know, it's horrible. It's stressful. I remember when I tried to send my first ever email, I was sat in the IT room in Central, had everything ready, all the attachments were there, the email address was in. I spell checked everything. It was so well spelt. And I then just stood up and left. I didn't send it. Well, I got up and I left the room because I was just so stressed out by the whole thing. And one of my very, very close friends had to come back and get me. And sit me back down and be like, "Joshua, can you just press the button, please?" And I was like, "Okay, thank you. I'll do it."
Oh, we were all, I remember, kind of like in a row when we were sending our first emails. And we were all there, we're hovering over send, and we were let's all just do it.
You just don't want to do it, do
and
you?
we all just clicked and went, "Ah!" and just recoiled.
And then there was the wonderful, wonderful moment where one of the people in my class who was notorious for being a bit of a bumblefuck was just like, I love him to pieces, but anything that you could forget, he did. We all sent them off, like everyone had made the thing, everyone was standing and jubilating, and it was done. The first hurdle had been jumped. And he was like, "No." And silence fell. And we're like, what's just happened? no, I didn't attach anything. He didn't put his headshot CV, he didn't put the poster, he didn't put the time, the date of the performance, nothing. There were no details. There was nothing for these people to go on. And the really, really sadistic part of me was like, yes, it wasn't me. And the other part, obviously, was absolutely devastated for my dear friend. I'm so sorry I told that story.
Oh, well, don't worry, there were no names. But I definitely want to know who it was afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
you know, I'm sure you know who it
I think
is.
everyone works it out.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
So after that, you develop this really kind of weird neurosis where every time your phone vibrates, you shit yourself. and that doesn't go away, ever. To this day, every time my phone vibrates, there's a little echo of third year that goes...
Yeah.
And that, I think till the day I die, I'm going to have that. So thanks, Central. I have a BA acting and neurosis. And you know that's it, because every time you get an email, you think it could be a reply of someone, and it's not. It's usually student beams or
Amazon.
Why are Holland and Barrett emailing me? But they are, and you know Conway Bellingerda Grant aren't, and that's fine. No, and just slowly but surely you start to get used to that, and the fact that you are kind of putting yourself on the line, and you are. This is a profession and not an I think that's the thing, is that when you, it all always feels so intangible until you do it. The whole industry is very, you know, from a young age, as I'm sure most people's experiences are, I was always told to prepare to fail, that it wasn't going to happen, and to have plan B. And I was like, I'm not going to have plan B. Any time I put aside for plan B is time taken away from plan A, and that means it's less likely to happen. So I'm not going to do that. And the idea, kind of in first year, the idea of writing to an agent just seems like the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like, it will just never happen. And then you have to, in the same way that when you got into drama school, which felt like it would never happen. But that getting into drama school doesn't make you an actor. It's not a career, it's still education. And then at the end of drama school, you're making a career, which seems intangible. And then you have to go and grab it, and you have to do it, and you have to think about the fact that agents work for you, not the other way around. And even though it seems ridiculous, it seems like this ethereal thing that could just never happen to you, and then you have to do it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so stressful.
Yeah.
But realistically, you know, they're looking for new actors as much as you're looking for a new agent. And they want you to be great.
Yeah. Because,
as I said before, it's a transactional relationship. You're supposed to make each other more successful. That's the deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just get used to it, I guess.
So, kind of like if we took, say, an example from second year of a show that you had like a wonderful kind of acting experience from, and then you get into third year and it almost feels a lot more industry focused. At times it can feel like you're now doing the shows for the agents and for the casting directors. Did you feel that experience, or is there a way, or
oh God, yeah.
Did you, like, can you like maybe take two examples and explain what the difference felt like to you?
Yeah. So the last show that we did in my second year, the Bridge Project, which I think is kind of unanimous to most drama schools, that you have this idea that you bridge yourself from second to third year. And we always did, on our course, we did a Shakespeare tragedy, and we did Romeo and Juliet, in which I was playing the prince. And it was the prince he's a fantastic part, but he's very episodic almost. Like he's not a through line in the story. He pops up and he does a big tyrant to people, and then he leaves, and then he comes back, and then he leaves, and then he comes back. It's brilliant text. His text is absolutely sensational, and the director wanted to cut it, and I was not having that, quite frankly. But we had the discussion, and she was like, so the final speech of the prince is a gloomy peace this morning with it brings. She wanted to cut it. She was like, can we not just end with them dying? And I was like, no, we can't. No, we can't, because this text is too fantastic. And she turned around and said, fine, it's up to you, prove it. And I sweat and I cried, and I felt the pressure, and I went away for about 2 hours to prepare, and she was literally like, go, prepare the speech, come back, and if it's any good, you can have it. Within those 2 hours, I realised that you have to take control of it. It doesn't come by, you know, a wonderful experience as an actor and making a wonderful experience for an audience. Comes from artistry and putting your own artistry into what you're doing and finding what you want and what you want to share. It doesn't come, it's not this kind of magical thing that will or won't happen. You have to put a lot of work into it, and that was what that taught me, was that if I wanted to do that, I had to work for it, and I wanted to do it so much because I was in love with the speech. And I came back after a couple of hours, and I had found music to put to it, which we ended up using that music throughout the entire show, which was really cool. And I finished the speech, and she said, yeah, fine, you can have it. And through that, and then taking that from that point, and then through the entire rehearsal process of, it is in my control what I do and what I share with the audience and what I share with the other actors on stage and what I'm learning myself and what experience I'm bringing to it. And that was really, it was purely for, or it felt like that was just one of the biggest learning curves. It was purely for me and my craft and for the people that I was on stage with, and it was something for us.
Yeah. So once you were in third year and it became more industry focused, did you find that really took away or made it hard to focus on using the shows as an opportunity to proceed your craft or to focus on the artistic side of your performance, and it all just became, agents or casting directors? Or did you find solace in the trying to find artistry?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take it away. The whole point, and what they do really try to ask of you, is that the whole thing about agents and trying to find casting directors and finding, getting attention from the industry is through that. It's through being good. You will find it if you put work in, you stay true to the art form that you're doing. But it just adds another layer of something else that you have to think about, and you do have to think about it. You absolutely do. I don't, there was one tutor who was like, I can't stand it when people, you do have to, realistically, when you get out of drama school, you want to be a professional actor. That's why you went in the first place. Therefore, you have to find your place in the industry. And horrible as it is, you do have to find the business side of the business. The fact that it is a business and people want to make money out of you, and you want to make money because much as you'd love to be an actor forever, you also need to pay your bills. It adds on top. It's something else to think about. And with very little time to do it, and balancing between rehearsals and writing to agents and calling your mum and crying, there's very, very little time to think about it all, and you just have to get on with it and do it. And you can't, when you think, no, I'll send it tomorrow, no, because when you say you're going to send it tomorrow is, you can say tomorrow, and you can say tomorrow, and it just never gets done. So it adds, and every time your phone goes off, you poo, and that's a shame. It's really, so your mind is all over the place. But that's part of it. You have to deal with that, because that's never going to go. Again, that's never going to go away. Even when you get a job, and it's fantastic. You've been given Hamlet at the National, brilliant. But who said you get a job after that? You still have to work for it.
So. Please, if you don't mind me asking, did you have multiple or any agent meetings after any of your shows or showcase?
Yes.
So how did you, how did they all go? How did you find the experience of an agent meeting, your first one? How did you then decide on an agent once you'd...
It's interesting because from my experience, most agents won't actually offer until after showcase. That's usually what they wait for. And after one of the shows we did, when we did West Side Story, I had about 3 meetings, which was really nice, really fun, again, all very introductory. Different people had different things to offer. Turns out I didn't sign with any of them. I went with someone after showcase who came up to me at the showcase, which was really, I really liked. I think it was one of the things that I really liked about them as well, is that they didn't do it all electronically. They made a point to come up to me and say hi, and that made a big impression on me. Yeah, kind of had a meeting with them, and it was really funny because me and my best friend had this meeting with the same ones, and they had told both of us, which is interesting. They kind of, the guideline, obviously it wasn't a rule, but the guideline they went by is they only took 2 graduates every other year. And they'd already taken somebody from one of the other courses at Central. So we knew, well, to our knowledge, there was only one place left, if you like. But they were only looking to sign one more person for their books. And we both had a meeting with them, and she's my absolute best friend. And we kind of had to just look each other in the eye and go, good luck. That was it. And we went off, and we both had the meeting, came back, and we were actually together when I got a phone call from them. And they're like, we'd like to offer you representation. And I kind of danced about the place, and then I made eye contact with her, and she looked so happy for me and so sad for her, all at the same time. And then about 5 minutes later, she got a call as well, and that was great. So we were all very happy. But it was really interesting, and she added another layer of stress.
Yeah. Now, skipping ahead now a year, you have now changed agents.
I have.
So how/why did that come about? What exactly was it?
So after all, I mean, as simple as the relationship wasn't working as well as either of us had hoped, I think. And we were kind of on the same page about that. I wasn't making them successful, they weren't making me successful. So I decided to start looking in other places. And, disclaimer, lots of their clients are working lots, and they were very, very good. It was our relationship that didn't work. And I was looking into someone who I knew, interestingly, it was through my day job, which is why it's really important to have a good day job. It was through my day job that I found this new agent, because they were regular, and I kept saying, it was really interesting, when I first started working where I do, they were kind of irregular, and I got talking to them, and I knew their orders off by heart. They could walk in the door and I'd just fix it up for them, and we started to have a really good, just normal relationship. And then I was looking on my Twitter feed, and their picture came up, and I was like, why is this person on my Twitter feed? I've never made an effort to follow them. Looked at who it was, and it was back through third year when I was following a load of agents. I'd followed this person, and I was like, right, okay, that's interesting. And the buddying system that we have at Central, so everyone has a buddy in the year above them who is someone informal that you can go to have for chats when you don't want to go and talk to your acting tutor about why they made you cry. So you go to your buddy. I knew that my buddy was with this person, so I kind of gave her a ring and said, hey, what do you think of them? How is it working for you? And she didn't have enough warm words for them, in more ways than one. And I was like, right, okay. So through my day job, I then just found his email address and said, hi, you know me as the barman who makes you a good soy latte. However, here's my CV, my headshot, my show reel, my singing reel. I trained with your client, and what do you think? And we had a meeting at my place of work with the soy latte.
Nice.
And and we just kind of went, yeah, okay, well, we can work together. I think this would be a good business relationship, and we went for it. And that's kind of, that's that really. Cool. I mean, it's as I say, it's a very interesting relationship, because you also, the agent that I was with before, I actually had a very good relationship with them. We were very open. I never felt like I couldn't speak to them, anything like that. We had a good correspondence. So when it came to, I call it dumping them, which is kind of awful. Yeah. But it feels like a breakup.
It does.
It feels like a breakup. It's so weird. You have to be like, I want to see other people. It's not you, it's me. All of those cliches come out, and you genuinely feel it. You're like, no, like, it was very, it was very funny, but it was all very amicable, and it's part of the business, it has to happen.
Right. So you've dabbled in modelling. I was wondering how that came about, and why, and all the reasons.
All the reasons of the modelling.
And the benefits,
yeah, pros and cons.
Everything.
So it came about, I was working in the stockroom in Hollister, which was fun. And I was putting some stuff out, which I do find really, really funny, because they do call the people on the floor the models. And I wasn't one. I worked in the stockroom. And I just happened to be, I'd folded up a load of clothes, and I happened to be out on the shop floor, putting them back where they were supposed to be. And someone came up to me and just said, hi, have you ever considered modelling? And I went, no. And then they said, well, I think you should. So here's my card. Give us a call if you're interested. And I kind of stood there for a little bit in shock. And I was then ushered back into the stockroom. And then I called my mum and said, you know, what do you think? She was like, well, make sure they're not weird. Google them first and then, you know, go for it. And I Googled them and they were an incredibly reputable agent, which was very, very interesting. And I went for an interview. And, you know, their office is in Chelsea and it was all very swanky and it was really kind of exciting. And I signed with them after a bit of an interview, and they kind of watched my walk, see my walk, and just show us your walk. And you walk, and they're like, great walk. And I was like, thank you, I've been doing it since I was 2. And then you go, but I kind of, when they said, you know, how much time do you want to be full-time, part-time? Kind of, is this your career? I was like, well, no, I'm at drama school at the moment. I think it was in my first year. I was like, so I don't have any time during the week. I hope that's okay. And they're like, no, it's fine. We'll work around you. And I did, you know, it was very difficult to get. They used to send me all kinds of stuff through that I couldn't do because of drama school. And there was one kind of really, really good job that I got, which was really fun. And I did a shoot for Adidas, which was hilarious. And I was dressed up as David Bowie, which is the best thing. And I've been obsessed with him ever since. And kind of that, but it did kind of, it got to a point where I'd been with them for a year and a half maybe, and they just went, okay, you've had one job, what's going on? And I was like, I want to be an actor. It was really fun, it was really, really interesting, and I learnt a lot from doing it, and I still dabble every now and then. Like there have been moments when I've done bits and bobs, done some shoots or done a show or whatever, and it's worth doing alongside because you learn so much from it.
I mean, I'm completely naive about the world of modelling. Do you have to audition for things, or
you just go to in the same? It's a fairly similar setup to acting in that you get called in for a casting, you go in, you take your portfolio that hopefully your agent has helped you build up, and they take a few photos of you. Yeah. A lot of them take photos of you topless, which I was not aware of. So the first time they're like, and if you just take the top off, and I was like, I don't feel cool with this. But it turns out it is completely standard practice and they weren't trying to rape me. So that was good. That was good. That was a bonus. But it's a fairly similar setup to acting. You know, you have your agent, you go in for a casting. If they like you, they see you again, and then if they like you a lot, you get the job. And that's it, really. That's modelling. But it's different because it's equally sporadic as acting. Yeah. And I kind of, you know, I had moments when I thought maybe I'll get more into it and devote a bit more time to it. The issue is that it makes you so unreliable for your day job. It's like, hi, can you give me a job that I need to pay my bills? But like, I also want to walk away at any possible point for a casting for both acting and modelling. Is that cool? Yeah. And they're like, no, it's not. So it's equally as it's fun and it's good and it's worth doing if you can do it, because if you get the job, it's so much money. But it's difficult to do 2 very unreliable things in one time. Sometimes it works for people, and it's, you know, when it has worked for me, it's worked very well and I've got a lot out of it. But it's equally as unreliable, and it just makes you a mess.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. So cool. So you've mentioned before about how you have to work hard. Say, like, for example, if you were in Hamlet at the National, then you still have to work really hard for your next job. Have you found yourself having to work a lot to make your own work since leaving drama school?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Just scream. Yeah. Scream until somebody hears you. Yeah. So my day job is in a theatre, which I probably should have mentioned when I was talking about it earlier. And every time someone comes in who's doing anything of slight interest, hi, great, cool, I'll send you my CV. Hi, great, cool, I'll send you my CV. What's your name again? Brilliant. Follow you on Twitter. Hi, lovely to see you again. Send an email. Here's my CV. Here is my CV, everyone. But you work for it, and it's worked for me. It's worked for me before. It worked. You know, I got a new agent out of doing it. I've got plays from doing it, and it really is. And even if it's not immediate, even if it's not, hi, can you see me for this? And you might not get that job, that specific job, but you're now on their radar. Yeah. It's a long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, you have to start getting getting known, and then even, you know, in 2 years' time when your agent sends your submission through and they remember you as the guy behind the bar from your, you know, it is worth investing that work and constantly touching base with people, stay in contact with people that you know. People that you've met through drama school, people that you've met out of drama school, people that you know from when you were a child who happen to work in the industry now. Find anything that you know and stay in contact with them. Ask them for a cup of coffee. Recently I got back in contact with people that I worked before I went to drama school. I had a tiny part on a tiny little TV thing, which was really great fun. And I looked where the creative team are now, and they're doing crazy things, you know, some really, really big, and got back in contact with them, and they know what I want, you know. It's not, you don't have to be too subtle. Obviously you have to be polite, but you don't have to be too subtle about it. I don't want to be their best friend, I want them to give me a job. And that, so I wrote to the casting director, I wrote to the producer, we went out for coffee, they had a catch up, I spoke to them about what I'd done since. And they were honest with me as much as I was with them. It was very much a, you know, the guy turned around and said, I'm your contact now, badger me. It's fine, like, you don't have to feel guilty for it. You have to be bold about it. If you want something, ask for it.
Cool. So, we're now going to do some quick fire questions, which is a bit of fun that we do with every guest on the show. So, answer these as quickly as you can.
Right.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favourite comfort food?
Pizza.
Ideal holiday location?
Key Largo.
Ooh. Favourite word?
Equanimous.
Ooh. Least favourite word?
Moist.
Least favourite food?
Snails.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones?
Lord of the Rings.
Favourite swear word?
Fuck.
What superpower would you have?
Telekinesis.
Fantastic. So, Josh, last question of the show.
Yeah.
Title of the show. So, what next?
Right. Well, I am doing regular cabarets at Park Theatre, where I have been avoiding saying I work so I don't get all these crazy stalkers. I just want a normal life. But so we're doing cabaret, which I'll be doing at the last Monday of every month with Q Productions, which I'm associate artist of. I've got a small kind of one-off event play that I'm doing in a couple of theatres in London about the Orlando shootings, which should be really, really fun. And then it's just kind of onwards and upwards, and, you know,
awesome.
Audition.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and please guys, leave feedback. We're making so many changes for the next bunch of episodes, season 2. Next week, we're actually going to be interviewing a student, someone who's currently training. So for anyone who is going through drama school right now, this is a perfect option to tune in and hear what this guy has to say. I will see you around. Goodbye.
Click the top corner to find our previous episodes in case you missed one, and Josh Oakes Rogers' information will all be in the description below. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe on your way out the door, and leave us a comment telling us your thoughts on this week's episode. As always, guys, remember to tune in next week for another cool interview on So, What's Next?
Hit me, baby, one more time.